invite Ivan Eland to join the conversation. He's here in the studio with us. He is a senior fellow and the director of the Center on Peace and Liberty at the Independent Institute. Let me start there. The fall of Aleppo, huge victory?
Well, it is a significant victory, but of course, in wars like this, which is now go into what is called a counterinsurgency war, where you're fighting guerrillas rather than rebels in a city. And of course, that's much different. And oftentimes, great powers win battles, and they win all the battles of the war in a guerrilla war, and they still lose the war. So the war is not over, and Russia could still end up in a quagmire because if you don't completely annihilate the guerrillas, they can come back. Look what they've done in Afghanistan with the Taliban. And that sort of thing.
How about reducing the area of control for the rebels? I mean, what does this do in terms of their, as Daniel was pointing out, a lot of these people going into Idlib, but it seems like their area is getting smaller, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think you'll see the regime go after that. But there'll always be places where the guerrillas can hide amongst the population and that sort of thing. So I think this war could actually last a while longer. And the great powers, even the regional powers like Turkey, Russia, and Iran, they can make a deal to end this. But you've still got Al-Qaeda, or what's formerly the Al-Qaeda affiliate, and you've got ISIS, you've got other groups. And, they may not necessarily cooperate on the ground. If the Gulf states or they can find arms from somewhere else, they'll keep fighting.
What about winners and losers? We've got such a lengthy war, and we know that this is a proxy war. There's a lot of players involved. As the result of today, who are the winners and losers in the fall of Aleppo, would you say?
Well, of course, Russia, Hezbollah, and Iran, and the regime, of course, the Syrian regime, are the big winners of Aleppo. And the losers are, I would say, Turkey, even though it's meeting with Russia, it was backing the opposition. The Gulf states were backing the opposition. And, of course, the opposition groups themselves that were in the eastern Aleppo.
This doesn't get us any closer to talks, any dialogue, do you think?
Well, it gets us closer to Turkey, Iran, and Russia, perhaps getting some sort of agreement. But you've got the Gulf states, you've got the U.S. can still have a role in this. And it depends on how the Trump administration wants to handle this. The Trump administration seems to want to cooperate more with Russia and maybe go after the Islamists. But we don't know. Trump hasn't fleshed out his policy yet.
Let's talk a little bit about the UN General Assembly. They voted to establish this body to investigate war crimes, and Russia and Syria both very upset about this. And Russia is saying that they're interfering with the work of the Security Council. But the Security Council for years now, it's just been like issues go to them, nothing seems to happen. What's your thought on the General Assembly taking this rather bold step?
Well, what Russia doesn't mention is the fact that they can veto anything on the Security Council. It's one of the 5 permanent members. So the Security Council is not going to condemn Russia for war crimes or any sort of related claim, since Russia can veto whatever the Security Council does. So that's why it's in the General Assembly. And certainly, I think there have been war crimes. They hit hospitals, schools, et cetera, and maybe even on purpose. But we can't let the rebels completely off the hook. They shelled civilian areas in eastern Aleppo, and there's been atrocities by ISIS and the former Al-Qaeda affiliate as well. So this war is really vicious, and they've used nasty tactics on both sides. I think probably the scale of the regime and Russian, involvement in these atrocious acts is probably on a bigger scale than the rebels, but still both sides don't have clean hands.
Yeah, Ivan Eland, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.